what's going on, y'all? Welcome into a brand new episode of Snaps, your favorite daily, not daily here in the offseason, 3 times a week, your favorite 3 times a week college football podcast. I'm TBob Abear. He is Aaron Murray. The guy you see seated between us, Matt Brown from Matt Brown Extra Points. He writes a newsletter called Extra Points. It is fantastic. I am a very happy subscriber. He covers all things college sports, college football, especially a lot of on-field stuff, business stuff, policy. And Matt has been at the forefront of, I would say, the EA Sports College Football 25 coverage, like ahead of anyone else. And because of that, he got to go to Orlando for the media event last week. He got his hands on the game. He's written about it extensively in the newsletter. And we are going to ask a bunch of questions today. And so if you want to get your questions in the chat, I've already seen a couple here that I want to get to. Feel free to do that. And and please, guys, remember, like and subscribe. As you can see, I'm in a bit of a different setting today in between offices as we continue our road to independence. Remember this shit, Georgia fans, suck it. Fucking nerds. We beat y'all in Athens. All this.
I don't know if I've ever heard anyone ever say Georgia and nerds in the same sense, unless there's.
What are you talking about? You had to have like 4 O's to get into Georgia when I was coming out of high school. Are you kidding me? I had friends that had 4 O's and like 1,200 SATs. They couldn't get in.
Can we just all appreciate? Matt, can we all just appreciate the flexibility of T-Bob? I cannot do what he's doing right now. That is.
Just a little yogi. Oh no, you're never supposed to show your feet online for free. Damn it, dude! I've lost the ability to make money now.
There's a new way I can build out the Extra Points paid subscription model.
Yes,
once the video game comes out, they're like, Matt, what are you going to do when the game comes out? Like, well, we can make a couple of different pivots.
All right, one quick foot thing before we get into the game. So Sharon, my wife, has I call a claw. So her second toe is significantly bigger than her big toe.
Okay,
it is like mine is, it is really. It means you're intelligent,
like a literal talent.
Yeah,
it literally is.
Their own feet right now.
This is her big toe. Her second toe is it's like a good knuckle above. Anyway, she posted a picture, and someone got into her comments and said, "Man, I really appreciate you posting this. Like, I've been so cautious about my feed and posting anything with my feed. Sharon didn't even mean to, but I guess it inspired this young lady to get over the whole fact of being ashamed of her talent."
If somebody messages you saying that you helped me get over being ashamed of my feet, are they kind of inherently telling you should be ashamed of your feet? Like that's kind of fucked up a little bit. I'd be like, thanks, I guess, but now you've given me a new insecurity. I obviously didn't think about it that much before.
Well, she does, but she didn't think about it when posting. But it's scary.
Anyway, so you need to follow Matt at Matt Brown EP on Twitter. Matt, what's going on, man? Welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks so much for having me, fellas. Great to be here.
What was it? Somebody said that I was edging myself to the stills of Tom Bombadil from Rings of Power season 2. I have not seen them yet. I have not seen the stills yet. Otherwise, it probably would be. Look, I am logging your questions here in the chat, but I want to start here because you had a line, Matt, that really stuck with me. Okay. And I want to ask you to explain it a bit here. You wrote in bolded, in bolded letters, this game is an absolute love letter to college football fans by college football fans. And from presentation to feature set to gameplay, it is not a reskinned version of Madden. I feel like that's like a sentence that is not written lightly, right? Because that encompasses basically all of everybody's fears and insecurities about how this could go wrong. So what did you see in your 2 days in Orlando that made you feel comfortable writing that?
Yeah, let's talk a little bit more about maybe the last part. And this was, I think, a new thing for me as I got on this beat, because I'm not a Madden guy. I don't really follow the NFL super closely. I'm certainly the farthest thing from a competitive capital G gamer. And so as people would be asking me about like animation frame rates and like physics for this kind of thing, I'm like, I was just hoping to hear a band play neck. Like, I don't know about any of this. I had to learn, right? And I'll tell you, one of the biggest differences, because I played the new Madden 2. One of the biggest differences for the games, which is also a difference in real life football, right? Mm-hmm. Is in Madden, everybody in the game is a pro. The worst dude on the Carolina Panthers is probably an all-conference Sun Belt player, and the gap between the median NFL guys in the video game is not enormous, which then places it makes the game be a little bit slower, and it means you have to actually read the passing windows correctly. You have to make the right reads, because otherwise you'll get punished. In college football, if we are playing hypothetically Georgia against Kennesaw State, you're going to have a guy on lining out wide who might be a first-round NFL pick, and he's going against a very buff dentist. Like the talent gap there is really significant. And when I played this game, you notice that. And part of that means, like, if you're a 245-pound first-round running back and you're being tackled low by a MAC defensive back, you're going to bounce off that guy. And if you do tackle him, he's going to carry you for 6 yards. So you have to get the angle and the pursuit exactly right, or you have to gang tackle, or someone's overpowering physicality is going to demonstrate here. And that doesn't mean it's impossible to win games if you're Kennesaw, but realistically, that margin of error is different, which I think on a gameplay level creates a very different experience. I think the other thing that was kind of beaten into our heads from playing both of these games is that college football is a game played by college students, and college students, even extremely talented ones, do college student stuff. We have the college kicker meme for a reason. If you're not Blankenship and you're trying to kick a 50-yard field goal at LSU, it's going to be really hard. Because that's not a gimme kick in college. If you are playing with a group of true freshmen, even if they're 5 stars, and you play at LSU at night, they're going to be scared, because that's a scary environment. Most people are not going to be as composed. So I think what you would consider your error bar, your variance of how plays could particularly go, is going to be higher. I think that's going to lead to a more wide open, maybe slightly less predictable, kind of game. But that's how college football is, which I think is less scripted, maybe not randomized. But when you're playing, I think the ability for weird crap to happen is going to be much higher than it is if you're playing Madden and it's the Jags versus.
Hey, I'm all for LSU, Florida State 2 years ago. This ugliest. It was so ugly.
Yeah,
you couldn't keep your eyes off it. Like you would never have an NFL game like that. But that is the beauty of college football. Like you have this ugliness, which is beauty, which is fun, which is just absolutely unbelievable. I want to go big here. Yeah. What was the thing that is, as you played? I know you didn't get, weeks and weeks to kind of dive into it, but what is missing? Like, what is that one big thing that, man, I wish they would have had this in the game this year? I don't know if it's mascot mode or something else. Like,
you got to shut the fuck up about mascot mode. I don't think anybody actually cares about mascot mode.
I do a little bit. It's fine. Come on.
Let me get on that here real quick. I thought, because I've been writing about college football professionally for the last decade plus, that I thought I was prepared for insanely passionate people on the internet.
Yeah.
Brethren, college football, even SEC college football, is not the same level of weird online as video game people.
True.
There are people blowing me up that are like, listen, I get an immense emotional amount of satisfaction over knowing I can wear a Wilson helmet over a Russell helmet. And if you can't change customizability, by God, this game is unplayable. Or like, tell me where the sun is in the right cosmological place in the sky at 4:00 in the afternoon here. If the sun's 2 degrees that way, I'm over this. That's not an exaggration. So the idea that there are people that care very deeply about mascot mode, brothers, I've seen them. They're in my DMs. They've been yelling at me.
My bad.
That is, that would have been fun, right? It's fun to play as Big Red at Western Kentucky and just destroy somebody on a hospital ball, blow up Puddles the Duck. That's not in the game. Kind of wish it was. The things that I think people are going to be angry about the most are changes in Road to Glory. You don't start in high school anymore. There's no...
Dude, I was shocked about that. Like, I didn't, to me, because I've never been a Road to Glory player, I didn't think that was a big deal. And like,
I didn't either.
2 of my producers on my morning show were in a tizzy today.
I love the high school playoff, working your way up, and the better you played, the more your team won, the more scholarships you got. Like, that's fucking badass. So what do you do? Just pick a team?
So what you do is you pick your position. There's 5 positions I think you can have. And you pick your player archetype, right? Do I want to be a 5-star? Do I want to be a walk-on? Do I want to be a 3-star? And then you fill out like a questionnaire about what are the kinds of things that are important to you as a recruit. And then it generates offers. So if you're like, hey, the most important thing to me in the world is my NIL brand and academics, you're not going to get Western Kentucky's probably not going to offer you. Maybe Stanford will. But the core mode of the game is really about managing your time rather than living through high school. Because the game's going to tell you, like, look, you got so many hours in a week. You can manage your health. You're going to be banged up by November. And if you don't take time to manage your health, you're going to be injured and you're going to play like crap at the end of the season. You need to manage your school, because if you have a 1.0 GPA, the NCAA won't let you play. You have to manage your training, which improves your ratings. You manage your coach trust, which is your playing time, how much, like, what your gravitas is in the locker room. And then, which I think is kind of fun, your NIL branding. You go take time out of your day to go sign autographs, to go cut a deal. And some of those deals will give you boosts in the game, right? You do a deal.
You can literally get deals. That's pretty
You can literally get
So there's no like strict, because I was thinking there'd be some sort of NIL like resource management mini game, but it's more, so brand is it's them trying to get around the problem of NIL's rules change daily. How can we kind of get the feeling of it without like doing the strict rule set as it stands today?
That's exactly it. Because and that's like what developers told me was, like, we couldn't code something into the game where you're like managing payroll in Dynasty mode, or like press A to like commit money laundering on behalf of a booster, just because like the rules changed so much. Like, and this game took 3 years to make, right? Like NIL collectives didn't really exist at launch. And now who knows if they exist 9 months from now, if Learfield ends up dominating a lot of these things, right? So they're like, we have to kind of play conservative here, and then we can maybe change it moving forward. So it's a bigger deal in Road to Glory. But like, as the example they gave us, right? Like, you sign an NIL deal with like a deep tissue massage company, your health and recovery is going to be better, right? You sign a deal with Gatorade. Yeah, you be hydrated, you recover better.
Can you like go buy a car? Do they show you like driving a brand new like Ford pickup truck around campus?
I hope there should be like Challenger edition, right?
Yeah.
But Throughout Alabama. But they didn't show us all of that. Yeah, I know a little bit.
Sorry, go ahead. Okay, well, how about this?
Go ahead.
Go ahead. Nah, that's awkward.
TBob, just fucking go.
Okay,
just go, man. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Yep. Okay. I want to talk about gameplay. And I want to talk about specifically the running game, and then get a little bit of passing. Then we get into some more maybe Dynasty features. But one thing that I read that I found to be very interesting was it's a completely new engine when it comes to running the ball. And that in the past, they would basically calculate blocking using groups, right? Like maybe the entire 5 offensive linemen against the front 7, and here's what happens. From what I read, they now programmed it to where like each and every individual battle is its own it's its own thing, right? Like each battle is being calculated. So like the tackle against the end, the guard chipping with the center, then going to the second level against a linebacker. Did you feel this when you were running the ball? Did it seem more dynamic and a bit more, maybe more variables than sometimes the running games felt in football games in the past?
I did notice that a little bit, particularly when running option plays, where that mechanic has been changed a little bit. The game is definitely not going to hold your hand nearly as much to help you make sure that you make the correct read. And if you don't, and you're playing against an equal talented team, like, you will get murdered in the backfield. And I had this happen to me multiple times. One of the features that they talked a lot about that I didn't see as much because I didn't play into the fourth quarter as often is this wear and tear system. Yeah, which I think particularly for line play and especially in Dynasty mode is going to be very important, because what the game is basically tallying here are the impact of collisions throughout the course of the entire game, and collisions particularly on certain body parts. So if you're a 170-pound quarterback with a low strength rating and you're running a read option and getting 12 designated carries and then sprinting out of the pocket and getting nailed as you throw the ball, your ratings are going to decline over the course of the game, and they're going to decline worse if a 300-pound guy runs into you rather than a 170-pound guy. And it will even vary based on your legs or your arms. So that goes into those individual line battles here too, because if you're a guy that's just getting mauled physically over the course of the game, he's going to be less effective blocking a completely fresh guy in the fourth quarter. So I think particularly for like recruiting, just like in real life, by God, you need more than 5 linemen. Yep. And if you are playing a team or if you're trying to run a system where you want to run 85 offensive plays a game, you need to get your guys in and out. So the same 5 people aren't playing that number of snaps, or else you're going to be surprised to see your 315-pound right guard get pushed around by somebody who's 100 pounds less, just because He needs an oxygen tank on the sideline. I think
Sounds like
that's going
TBob
to add
back in the day.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
fucking relax.
Mhm.
Well, I mean, Aaron, you
want-
can speak to that though. As a quarterback,
Yeah.
when you are getting lit up in a game, does it start to fuck with you by the fourth
Fuck yeah.
quarter?
I remember even Baker. Go back to the Rose Bowl, Georgia versus Oklahoma. Oklahoma's kicking ass. All of a sudden, Baker starts getting his shit beat in, and end of game overtime. You could tell like Baker didn't want it anymore. Like he was done. He's like, dude, I'm tapped out. Like I'm out of it. And I've had plenty of games like that where come third, fourth quarter, hell, Auburn my freshman year, like I'm like, dude, I'm tapped out. I got nothing left in the tank. Like I got a fractured sternum. I got a sprained knee. I have a whiplash in my neck. Like I just want out of this fucking game.
Nick
like,
Fairley
just end this shit.
attempted to
leaking out of my
murder Aaron
spleen.
Murray.
It should be called the Nick Fairley effect, is what should be fucking called. I want to go to a question in the chat and then kind of make this a little bit bigger too. Queso Stream says, can facilities be upgraded? For example, I take Akron to a national powerhouse. Can I upgrade the stadium to hold more people? And I want to that plus the whole, you talk about how difficult it is if you're a smaller team to play against the big boys. I always like to be a smaller team and kind of work my way up. What is that realistically of working your way up to being an Akron, turning it into a powerhouse? Like what is that path?
Yeah, let me answer that second question first, and then we can go back into the crowds, because this, I think, actually addresses one of maybe the AI problems from previous games. Because it used to be, you take over an Akron, you take over a Monroe, right? And you go 10-2 that first year, and suddenly you put all of your coaching points into recruiting, and that suddenly the second year you're getting a couple of 4-star guys out of high school. And you might have some random 4-star guy that's like, my top 3 are Monroe, Akron, and New Mexico State, and then LSU. I'm like, that's not how things work.
Yeah.
And the way that recruiting in Dynasty mode is set up now is, one, like the recruiting pool is much larger. The game produces 4,000 recruits every year, and it's distributes. There's only like 20 of them are going to be 5-star guys, but the elite guys all have deal breakers, and many of those deal breakers will not be able to be satisfied by a entry level low major team. Like the guy might say, yes, I appreciate that I'm from Atlanta and Kennesaw is very close, but I need to have somebody who's going to play 4 national TV games a year, or somebody who is going to be in the preseason top 25 before I'll even consider you. Which means that those first couple of years at Akron, you can win a lot of games, and your player pool is going to expand. You might get some of those guys in the transfer portal, but you can't just go out there and drop bags like it's 1981 SMU and expect to build a powerhouse roster. Over time, though, the game will let you know, hey, here's what you have to accomplish to satisfy this particular deal breaker. And you will get more TV games. You will get conference. You'll get interest in being in other leagues. You'll get.
Will you?
Those other things here, to move up. The one thing I don't know, I think the answer to this question is no, but I will try to triple check. I don't think you're going to be able to physically upgrade the stadium itself. Okay. One of the things that was really kind of impressed upon me is how difficult it is and to render stadiums, and how much both like computing power and financial power goes into any of that. They all look good.
Really?
I'm told the crowds are dynamic. So if you start out as Akron, that first game is going to be at 11 o'clock kickoff, and there's going to be 12 people in the crowd.
Oh, I always assumed it was just going to be full no matter what. Oh, that's fucking great.
That's what they told us. And they also said the same thing other way around. You might start at A&M, and it's packed. And if you suck for 3 years before they fire you, it's suddenly going to be 50% capacity. So I was told, like, that's in it. But I don't believe they're going to let you, like, build an upper deck. And expand that stadium.
You brought up the transfer portal. If I am doing a dynasty mode, do you have to allocate certain hours to recruiting versus transfer portal? Okay, I figured that's how it worked.
One of the things that I actually really like about the way the portal is set up is, if let's say you're recruiting somebody,
do you have to recruit your guy? Sorry, do you have to also recruit your guy during the season? Like, are you recruiting the guys on your roster during the year?
You are.
Really?
So like one of the things that shows up week to week, right, which I like, is you can pull up and the game will tell you who's at risk for leaving, and they'll tell you why. So if you got by week 4 that's like, I'm not getting enough playing time, you're like, well, my way of trying to re-recruit him is maybe adjusting the lineups to get this guy some more snaps, and then you could spend hours at the end of the season. Damn. One of the things I kind of like, though, is like if you're recruiting a high schooler, and let's say you miss out on the recruitment, but you finish second, and that guy hits the portal the next year, you're going to start out with a huge boost because he remembers all of those things with you. He built those relationships.
What?
So you might that could be a strategic thing. Like, I might throw some resources at this guy I'm probably not going to get because I'm coaching Tulane, but I might be able to get him next year when he doesn't crack the depth chart of Georgia. and put myself in a better position. Maybe I'll hire his defensive coordinator to be my coordinator to give me a benefit, and maybe you would get that guy. There's a lot of depth and strategy in roster building.
Yeah, I mean, everything I've read where you've written about Dynasty seems kind of insane. It seems like a heavy emphasis on coordinator hires, on coordinators potentially leaving, on being able to hire lower head coaches to be coordinators. The skill tree for your coach and the coordinator coaches seems like a big difference. But Emil in the chat asks, maybe I would have. This is so granular that, again, I think it reinforces the original line about this being such a love letter. He says, Matt, in the Discord, you said pipeline recruiting is back, but states are broken into multiple regions. Does this mean that cities like Atlanta, Chicago, DC, and New Orleans are high mark recruiting spots? So, explain this a little bit, how this pipeline idea works.
Yeah. So in the previous games, you would get a recruiting bonus if a large chunk of your roster came from a particular state. If you're the coach at Tulane, and you're probably going to have at least 30 guys on your roster from Louisiana. Louisiana becomes a pipeline state, and it becomes easier to recruit guys from Louisiana. And you could do this for every state. Some states it wouldn't make sense. Okay, great. I get a boost at Vermont. So the one Vermont guy a year, I'll get a 10% boost. You never do it. What the game is doing this year is trying to make that a little bit more realistic by breaking several of those larger states into different components. So the specific example they gave us in the presentation was with Florida. South Florida is now a unique pipeline. Central Florida, Orlando, Tampa is one, and then North Florida is one. So if you sign a bunch of dudes in Panama City, it's not going to help you navigate the Miami-Dade recruiting environment. And we know how far away they are on a map. We know in the real world, they might as well be different countries in some ways, right?
Yeah.
Texas recruiting, as you guys know, and the chat knows, that's a whole different animal. And recruiting DFW and recruiting El Paso are both Texas culturally very alien, other than that they both care a lot about high school football. Atlanta was specifically mentioned as a separate area. Now, is that going to be the case for every single big city? I don't know. I would imagine California is probably going to be at least 3 different regions. I wouldn't be surprised if Wyoming and Idaho and Montana are one region. I don't know about those specifically, but you are going to have to get a lot more granular. And the distribution of those recruits, I think, is also trying to be more realistic. The old game, there would be multiple 4-stars in Canada every year. And there would be multiple elite guys in New England. It made rebuilding UMass easier. In real life, we know that's not the case. So you're going to have to spend time in Florida and Texas and Georgia and Alabama and Cincinnati a lot if you want to build a national program.
All right, 2 things. One, this is for you, but for everyone listening, make sure you hit the like and subscribe. We're over 500 right now. And don't even have 100.
Also, Aaron, let me add something here, because we only have limited time in that. But if you DM Matt, you have a newsletter, a mailbag newsletter coming out tomorrow. Are you still accepting questions for that? I imagine you're very full.
I think I am. I'm doing 5 of these shows today, which is great. And then when the kids go down to business, I'm going to be like, all right, everyone, I need you to shut the hell up for a couple minutes. I got to go take an Adderall, take them out and drink them out and and try to answer as many of these things as I can. Right.
Yes.
And so if you got one, DM me. The worst that can happen is I don't answer it now. I try to get to those questions as soon as I can.
Okay. So,
wait, I had a question, asshole.
Oh, my bad. Go ahead.
I know people want to know about the score bug.
Oh, yes. Good call. A lot of people ask about the score bug.
Yeah, it's funny, right? There's all these kind of things of I would never
very passionate about it.
Graphic designers don't care this much, but God bless you guys. So it's not the ESPN score bug. ESPN, iconography and production stuff's not a part of the game, even though there's a ton of ESPN broadcasting talent. ESPN worked hand in glove with EA to get audio assets, and they would bring EA with them to games and everything. But it's not going to say this is an ESPN production. The score bug's at the bottom of the screen. It's horizontal. I'm not sure how else to describe it other than it wasn't distracting. The one kind of production thing that I actually really liked is when you're selecting a play. There's 3 pictures on the screen. You have the bottom third of the screen. That's your play select, right? You navigate between your formations. You can just do the Ask Corso thing. You can navigate by play type. And then the upper third of the screen is split up in half. And one half is basically a TV cutout of the broadcast, right? If you just silenced the crowd the camera is going to pan away while you're picking a play of these dejected, heartbroken people, right, doing the meme faces and the surrender covers. And then in the other box is going to be some kind of live stat. So if you got one running back that just picked up 214 yards on the game and he's outgaining the other team, the broadcast will show that while you're selecting it, which to me, this kind of added to the immersion because it feels like it's a big broadcast. But the EA developers told me, like, we wanted to make our game presentation feel unique rather than trying to completely emulate what ESPN or Fox
makes sense.
Yeah. So
it makes sense.
If you look at this, exactly, will some people love the score bug or hate it or holler about it? I'm sure they will. All I would respectfully ask is just don't do that in my mentions because I don't care.
I would never have thought about the score bug until I feel like this is one of the hottest topics out there.
Hey, Matt. So I already know. I feel like I already know the answer to this. So maybe this is more of a explain how they did it. But when I think about college football,
Matt loves our live chat.
Is it a camel? Yeah, I know. Look, guys. Okay, I don't have a chair. It's an aggressive amount of shorts. I just spent the hour before this breaking down a giant desk in here. It's swimsuit Thursday. The weekend is here. I wanted our guests to feel welcome and sex sells.
And TBob, listen, I appreciate it. I feel overdressed for this occasion, wearing a home field t-shirt and everything. It's just, I literally came on this set from BYU TV's broadcast.
Yeah. Oh, wow. I gotta tell you, more opposite.
Yeah. The camera didn't come up in that one. Maybe next time. So,
okay.
How about, change,
Okay. So what I love about college football, and I've always said this, okay, I'm a big fantasy nerd, Matt, medieval nerd, whatever you want to say. And to me, a game day feels like a medieval tournament day, right? Where you've got these exotic sights and sounds and smells wafting through the air. You have this group of foreigners who are dressed funny, but similarly, and they have their own like chants and songs and everything. And you have all of this anticipation, then it all builds up to the tilt. At the end of the day, I'm getting goosebumps just thinking about it.
Yeah.
And it feels like, to me, pageantry is college football. Mm-hmm. How does this game capture the pageantry?
I think it did an A+ job. And for me, like literally, right? Like this is where they spent so much of their time and money. When you talk about an EA production, a lot of people are like, oh, it's just an ultimate team cash grab. Everything's microtransactions. It's all bullshit, blah, blah, blah. Like we were there for 2.5 days. They literally didn't talk about Ultimate Team once for anything for college. They talked about this stuff a lot. So it's difficult for me to talk. It'd be easier to talk about what isn't in the game pageantry wise. Like I'll tell you, one of the things that was really important right off the bat was we want intimidating home environments to feel special and unique and capital S scary. And not just for what this is going to do for your composure ratings and your ability to make pre-snap reads, but we wanted it to feel like an event. And they showed us an example, right, of a night game at Penn State. It's a whiteout. Ohio State's playing Penn State, big game. And Penn State, I think it's a running back, breaks off a big run, scores a touchdown late in the third quarter. One of the things I loved is that the broadcast crew shut up. So all you then really heard was the audio, the fans who are screaming, and they're not, reflexively playing the fight song. They're playing, I think it's Zombie Nation. And then you hear the crowd go, we are Penn State. Like after that. And I grew up in Columbus. So part of me is like, this is hate speech, like showing this here in front of me. But you also have to recognize no, if you're watching this on TV, if you were there, that'd be cool as hell. And like intimidating is exactly the right word, right? So it's not just fight songs. It's not just locker rooms. It's not just like scanning every single freaking seat in the stadium so we can make sure that the opposing band is sitting in exactly the right spot, which they did. But it's these little things that kind of tie it all together, not just for the LSUs and Georgias and Ohio States of the world, but for everyone. So like, do you want to see the Oregon State guys busting out the chainsaw after a touchdown? It's in the game. Yeah. If you want to see the waterfalls at Arkansas State, which I didn't know were a thing.
I didn't know that was a thing.
No, it's in the game. You want the mascots on the motorcycles and breakdancing. You want the student chants that are not R-rated.
Neck is. Matt has a picture of the sheet music.
I took a picture of the sheet music, right? But
But is the bad language in there?
No. I mean, it's an E rating.
Obviously not.
So in fact, if I remember my open
how do you have neck in there without the word?
Because we didn't always do that, and that's why this is a perfect opportunity to do neck, because it's the literal only way that you can play God and control the crowd.
I actually think, if I'm remembering my open records correctly, LSU I don't think submitted neck. But other schools play it, so this might have been
other schools do play it.
It might have been from like Kennesaw State or Illinois, or which is I've had now many of HBCU fans and readers who are like, I'm glad this is in the game, but it kind of sucks that we're getting like the gentrified PWI horn section version, to sneak this in there because FCS teams aren't in there. But listen, baby steps. We'll kind of build what it could be.
Matt, I don't know how much longer we have you, but one quick one for me. How nice was it to have the ESPN commentators calling the game? Like, how did that sound and feel having all those guys? And then obviously the difference between having Herb Street versus Pollock or anyone else.
It was funny. We got to talk with Fowler beforehand, and talk to some of the folks. Like it sounds great. And you can tell that there's some differences, right? If Pollock's on the call, no disrespect, like he clearly cares, but that's not the same impact necessarily.
No, we're Pavlovian. We've been trained when we hear Herbie.
Exactly right. If I hear Joe Tessitore's voice anywhere, I'm assuming something batshit's about to happen, right? Even if he's like reading a grocery list, and as you hear Herb Street, you think the same kind of thing. Everybody that did voice acting for this game has just raved about the attention to detail and about how much fun it was and how demanding. Like there's it's hours and hours and hours, like they're telling us like we had to we had to record audio for what happens if you win a triple overtime game on like a walk-off safety or whatever, which is never going to happen. But it's in there. I think all of these things kind of add up to the immersion. There's ways I think you can make it better. It would be nice to have some Fox talent. It would be nice to have a broadcast crew that I think truly speaks to the 11 a.m. Jefferson Pilot game experience, which I feel like is not entirely in here. I need the perpetual, we're only here because we have to be Purdue early afternoon kickoff game. But I have no complaints with any of the voice acting that I heard.
All right, last one for me, Matt, because I know you have a very busy day and we could sit here all day and pepper you with questions. But in this process, as the game continues to come out and you continue to cover it, what do you feel is kind of left? What stones are there still to turn over? Like what do you still maybe have some questions about? Because it seems like you got a pretty deep dive here.
I did, which is fortunate. We didn't really get a chance to talk about Team Builder, and I have a lot of customization questions in that world that I haven't had a chance to see yet. I don't know if there's a companion app for navigating recruiting or even navigating the Ultimate Team auction house. We didn't really talk about that at all. Didn't talk about online play generally that much. We did a little bit about Road to the College Football Playoff, and I'm sure that will be interesting to many people. That's not something that I think I'm going to spend time with because I need to find like the washed dads who can play 3 hours a week league, not the people that are, dominated DDR competitions and are like, A++, gamer people. Like that's not my world anymore. And they're already talking about.
I know it's not your world because competitive DDR was the place that you went to prove gaming bona fides. Not like League of Legends.
I know. It's still 2006 in my brain, right? Not any of these other games. Like Dance Guitar Hero. No, come on, man. It's funny. Like we know you're a nerd, but not that kind of nerd anymore. And I already know they're talking about next year's game. So the part of the question for me here too is also like, this was a foundational piece of tech.
Yes.
Where can you go next? Both from the community and from what the legal and licensing world will let you do and gameplay wise, because there's a lot, I've talked about this, I think a little bit. There's a lot of stuff that they wanted to put in this game. And then they realized like last October, like, this might be an NCAA 26, 27 kind of thing. Like the white whale for me, and I'll let you guys go, that a couple of developers have raised is message boards. if I am failing at recruiting, I want Hogville to scream at me.
Oh,
Right. And I want that to be, you used to have the Sports Illustrated magazines and you had some other things here. If you want to make this modern, we got to bring in some kind of On3 license or some message board stuff and have, if your job security is on the line, I want people filing open records requests for your emails. I want people dissecting and maybe using the message board for recruiting intel, right? And we kind of joked like, yeah, if we do this, we'll find a way to get you in the game, right? We'll put extra points in there or something. And maybe that's a year 2 or a year 3 kind of thing.
Get a little plane tracker simulator going on. Look, if they need to hire me to yell about Mario Christofraud, I can do it. Okay, I've been training for years here, Matt. Drop in a good line for us.
We can get the mature version of the game too. Tie the camel toe action in there. We'll just bring the whole thing in, full circle.
Well, hey, Matt, thank you so much, man. You're the fucking man. You've been doing really great coverage. Again, guys, the newsletter is extra points. It's the cost of a cup of coffee or a sandwich or something a month. You can buy bulk for a year. And again, if you're a college football fan, as you can see, it's invaluable. Be on the lookout for the mailbag piece, which is coming out Friday, tomorrow. That's going to be free. So you actually don't have to be a subscriber if you want a little taste of that. And you can follow Matt at Matt Brown EP on Twitter. Matt, thank you so much, man. You have an excellent, very busy day, my friend.
Okay. All right. Be well, guys. I appreciate you.
Appreciate it, Matt.
Oh, later, dude.
That was awesome. Fuck, I want to play it.
I know he's great, dude. And he's great. I told you he's been in on it. He hit the like button, you all. Subscribe. If you're just here for the first time, we are Snaps. We are what I would call an R-rated college football podcast. We make a lot of stupid jokes, a lot of juvenile humor. So again, don't listen to the car with your kids because there's going to be talking about cursing and stuff like it's going to be whatever. But you get the point. This is a fun show. I think it's a very fucking fun college football show.
I think it's one of the best shows.
And I think if you're just here for the first time, like, subscribe. Right now, if you don't know, we were with the Volume for a couple of years. They decided not to renew. That's great. We love the Volume. Nothing but positive things to say. But we are transitioning to figure out how to produce this on our own. So right now, really, our live shows are just on YouTube. They're about to be back up on Apple and Spotify. And we're still working out a rhythm for breakouts and everything else like that. So so stick with us. Bigger, better things coming. We're going to be streaming EA College Sports 25 when it comes out. And it's going to be a great college football season. And as you can see, we have the most high-tech setups here at Apps headquarters. You want to see a very funny picture before we go? Look at this picture that made me take senior year. Why did they do this? They lined me up like I was getting gangbanged by all my boys.
And you look so happy too.
I look so happy too. Look at my little genital pouch. What's going on there? I'm just so thick. And there's just a little dick pouch at the end.
Question for Aaron. Will you make yourself or go to Georgia in the new game? Probably.
You're going to make yourself?
Yeah. They always make themselves.
These are not jams that I'm wearing. I am wearing Show Me Your Moo Moo, which is my sister's clothing company. A lot of your wives probably know about Show Me Your Moo Moo. You may not know that they make men's bathing suits now, and they're excellent. So
tell her to send me some.
That's what I'm wearing.
Do they want to be a sponsor for the season?
No. I don't think college football advertising is going to do a lot for Show Me Your Moo Moo, unfortunately. But yeah, guys, we love you. Thank you so much for joining us. Aaron's about to go get a tight fade. I hear all y'all talking shit about my fuckboy fade, saying it's not a fuckboy fade. Look, bro, this is still faded up, but yeah, fuck y'all. I'm growing it back out.
I'm going. I might get a buzz cut today.
Wait, what?
What'd
you say?
I said I may get a buzz cut today.
Oh, wow. Hell yeah, dude. Ask TBob, will you make Aaron? Yes, I'm going to make Aaron and make him just awful. I'm going to make him transfer. I'm going to bench him until he transfers out and then laugh at him when he fails elsewhere. No, I told y'all, I am going to be doing a dynasty mode with my brother and his friends in which I will be Navy. And as far as online plays goes, I'm planning on maining Nebraska and trying to get really good with Nebraska, which again sounds more challenging than ever in this game. Like we said, where really good players really matter. So I don't think you're going to be able to take 2-star teams online and win, but like a 4-star, maybe you can get a little frisky. Real quick, guys, do you think Kalen DeBoer and his staff are getting a bit disrespected? I mean, not if you listen to this show. I'm incredibly high in Alabama. I'm higher than Aaron is, I would say. I'm scared of Kalen DeBoer having more talent than he's ever had and having a quarterback in Jalen Milroe that I think has all the potential in the world. And yes, we will stream the game on YouTube and Twitch.
Yes, we will.
Yeah, I know you're a Jalen Milroe hater, Aaron, but he was a true sophomore last year starting for this first year.
I'm not a hater. I think
to think that man – yeah, to think that a skilling. Did you just make that up? Like a skill stealing? I kind of like skilling.
Ceiling.
But I mean, I guess you're gonna say there's a ceiling when you saw him play as a sophomore. For
it's kind of like my opinion when I watch the NFL. I had this conversation with my dad and brother the other day. It's like when I talk about Hurts. And why am I drawing a blank? Quarterback for Lamar. When I look at Hurts and Lamar, I think they're phenomenal football players. Obviously, Lamar has been a multiple-time NFL MVP. I don't see either of them ever winning a Super Bowl. I just don't think they're that caliber. I don't think they're that caliber.
That is so fucking crazy. Considering that Jalen Hurts played for a Super Bowl and Lamar Jackson is a two-time MVP with one of the best. Lamar Jackson has one of the best
winning a Super Bowl.
Lamar Jackson is one of the best regular season records ever. All it takes is it finally clicking and it translating to the playoffs. You're fucking wild, bro.
No,
you are tripping. You are tripping. You are insane. He made a Super Bowl already. What the fuck are we talking about?
Difference between making it and actually fucking winning it.
Oh my God. Elway lost what? 4 of them things? 5 of them things before he won?
Who?
Elway. He started like 0-4.
I can have my opinion on it. I just don't think either of those guys are Super Bowl.
Yeah, and my opinion of your opinion is it's shit.
Okay.
I'm just kidding. I love your opinions, which is why I love doing this show with you. All right, guys. We love you, and we'll see you Monday, and I'll have my office back together for a brand new episode of Snaps. Later, y'all.